Welcome back to the streets of Nuremberg. Welcome back to the Norisring, the ADAC GT Masters, round 2 of the season. Races 3 and 4. We had race 3 yesterday. Second race of the weekend today about to commence. We return to this legendary street circuit for the first time in 15 years. It was 2008, the last time the GT Masters raced here, and it was Klaus Ludwig all those years ago who took the win here on the streets around Nuremberg. It is a unique street circuit like nothing you have ever seen before, and we had a great race yesterday which saw a win for Elias Seppänen and Salmon Ovega, their debut win. But that man there, Finn Gersitz, and the man sitting down giving us the thumbs up, that is Sven Muller. They currently lead the championship, and that is as a result of coming home in 3rd place yesterday. Jackson Evans didn't have the kind of day he wanted, finishing in 7th place. He got a win on the opening race of the season, along with co-pilot Tim Zimmerman, and followed that up with a 5th place at Hockenheim. But that appears to be the car to beat at the moment, the number 91, team used by Race Motion Porsche 911 GT3R. We saw it last year in ADAC GT Masters, had Arnchen Guven at the wheel, if I remember correctly then. But now this year, with Sven Muller and Finn Gersitz. Now, Finn has come from prototype racing, a very different discipline to that of GT3 racing, and this has been quite a change of culture for him, but he has really taken to it. Didn't have much practice, got in the car at Hockenheim, and with the guidance of Sven Muller, what a great mentor he has in him, has really done such a sterling job in that car and has really taken to it exceptionally well. There is the car that will be starting on pole position for today's race. Nico Menzel and Janis Fitcher in the number 25 Huber Motorsport Porsche, the team that is run by Reinhard Huber, and it was Nico Menzel who put that car on pole position this morning, and they are very, very competitive indeed. That is borne out by the fact they got a 2nd place yesterday, so in the best possible position for another podium today. The only disadvantage they do have is that 2nd place from yesterday means they have to carry an extra 10 kilos of ballast around with them. Success ballast that is introduced for 1 race only. So the race winner yesterday, which was Elias Seppänen and Salmon Ovega in the number 48 car, they are starting in 5th place on the grid. They are carrying an extra 20 kilos. As already mentioned, Janis Fitcher and Nico Menzel will be carrying an extra 10 kilos. And the car that we saw earlier on, the team used by Race Motion Porsche with Finn Gersitz and Sven Muller, will have an extra 5 kilos as a result of finishing 3rd yesterday. So both cars on the front row, they didn't have the weight penalty for qualifying this morning, but they will have it for the race this afternoon. It is race 4 of a 12 race season for the ADAC GT Masters here around the Norisring, a fairly short circuit, so not lots of cars required. We do have 10 cars on the grid, which is not quite in the numbers we would normally expect in ADAC GT Masters, but as many are aware, a winter where the ADAC took control of the DTM series and a lot of juggling around. I think it's fair to say that the calendar for the GT Masters was released fairly late when a lot of teams had committed their budgets elsewhere, but already the interest is growing quite significantly. We're expecting something in the region of about 16 cars next weekend at Nürburgring for round 3 of the ADAC GT Masters, and we're expecting it to grow even further from then. So from small acorns come great oak trees, and at the moment, well, you only need 2 cars for a good race, and we got 10 here, and around the streets of the Norisring, that is plenty enough. Marco Mepelli is a name that we are very familiar with. He shares with Benjamin Heites. Marco Mepelli, the Italian driver for GRT Grasser Racing. GRT Grasser are one of 5 teams that are doing double duties this weekend. We have the DTM package as a part of this weekend, and 5 teams, that's a Landgraf, Schubert Motorsport, Haupt Racing, Team HRT, GRT Grasser, and also Engstler Racing. They are all teams that are fielding cars both in DTM and also in GT Masters. So a lot of data being transferred, and it was seen very much early on in the season that it was a winning move to have cars in both series. You can share data. There's a driver we saw in DTM just a couple of years ago, Maxi Goetz. He's in the GT Masters for this weekend. He's sitting in for Arjun Maini. Arjun Maini is a DTM driver, and as the rules state, he's not allowed to race in both GT Masters and DTM on the same weekend. So it's Maxi Goetz who steps in. It'll be his 128th start in GT Masters, and of course, he is an ex-winner and a champion in GT Masters, the 2012 champion in GT Masters and the 2021 champion in DTM, sharing driving duties with Petra Umbra Rescue. Schubert Motorsports, Ben Green. He is a successful driver at GT Masters. That was proven by being one of the very few drivers in the history of GT Masters to take back-to-back wins on the same weekend. He did that along with Nicolas Cruton at the Red Bull Ring last year in the Schubert Motorsport BMW. He went on to win the Junior Championship. He's been through DTM Trophy. He is a very experienced pilot. He's also a driver coach, and he's here on the grid. We welcome Ben Green to the grid of the ADAC GT Masters. We also welcome Dave Richardson, who has been very much enjoying what was a gripping DTM race just a few moments ago.
I thought I was being welcomed onto the grid almost. Oh, hang on a minute.
Not yet.
Just get my golf cart ready, and I'll get out there and try and mix it up with Kim Louis Schramm and the likes of. I don't think they would be troubled too much, do you?
No, I think that, well, without wishing to be rude, but no. So yes, DTM, a very similar, well, same cars, GT3 cars, the difference being that it's single driver for an hour, whereas GT Masters, you have two drivers sharing the seat. But this track is wonderful for GT3 racing. The DTM cars look spectacular around the streets of Nuremberg. GT Masters looking to do the same as we look at Dylan Yip in the Liquimoli Team Engstler Audi. And Luca Engstler, a driver who has, he's a manager and is coaching these drivers, but also a racer in DTM. And it's been great to have Engstler back on the grid as well, hasn't it?
It's a name that's synonymous, isn't it? And yeah, you're absolutely right. It seems strange to me that, you know, you have such a mix of emotions for the Engstler family this weekend, because you have Luca Engstler driving in the DTM. Franz Engstler is here, but not driving his DTM classic car, but his car is and being driven by somebody else out there on the track. So, you know, the Engstler name has been associated with motorsport in Germany for many, many years, and it will continue to be present for many more years to come. In fact, Franz Engstler is still racing, and racing very, very competitively in other series. So,
yeah.
you know, fair play. And they're such a nice family and nice bunch of people, and of course, very, very professional in their race outlook as well. When you have a team manager like Manuel Reuter, who is no stranger to success, Brian, running your team, and that's an interesting shot, then, yeah, you can understand. You can understand where the success comes from.
And that is one of the Engstler drivers, Dylan Yip. That is a camera. Hello? Anybody in? The ski goggles are on. You won't be needing those this weekend, I can assure you. But
taxi for Potter. Taxi for Potter.
Taxi for Engstler. Luca Engstler has been personally coaching these drivers, Dylan Yip and also Kwanda Mokoena. Kwanda Mokoena, who is from South Africa, as I said yesterday, he says, I want to be even bigger than the Van der Linde brothers. Well, good luck with that, mate. But he is so enthusiastic. Whenever you see him in the paddock, he is buzzing with excitement. The instruction is being given to the drivers to start your engines. In the Engstler team, it is Dylan Yip from Macau who will be the first driver to take the seat in the number 7 car. Those are the knees of Maxi Goetz, if I am not very much mistaken. I can recognise knees from 10 paces. Are you impressed?
Slightly concerned about that. I'm honest with you. But
yes. Well, Maxi Goetz, he has done a few laps around here. Of course, he clinched his DTM title at this very venue, and we are so pleased to have him here. He's qualified mid-grid. Jackson Evans, another massively talented driver. He's done a few laps around round here in Porsche Carrera Cup Germany. He finished 7th yesterday. He starts 3rd on the grid today. Expect Jackson Evans to be going forwards because he is a man on a mission. You can see the crowds on the terraces, on the tribune, the concrete tribune here at the Norisring, a circuit that is 2.3 kilometers around. That equates to about 1.429 miles. 4 turns, 3 to the left and 1 to the right. Rather unusually, the cars run in an anti-clockwise direction. The only other circuit in the calendar that runs anti-clockwise is the Sachsenring, another very different kind of circuit. So does all sorts of unusual things with drivers. Next, you can see how tight the turn 1 hairpin is. The turn 1 hairpin, also known as the Grundig turn. Then it's a short, sharp stretch up to the Scholar S and then around to the final turn. There is your grid, and it is Nico Menzel on pole position with Sven Muller alongside. All Porsche at the front, also a Porsche. Jackson Evans in 3rd, ahead of Marco Mappelli, the first non-Porsche car on the grid. On row 3, Elias Seppinen, yesterday's winner, and we welcome back Maxi Goetz for HRT. Apologies for that. And row 4, Ben Green in the Schubert Motorsport BMW. My colleague had lost it. Ralph Aron in the Mercedes alongside him, and then on row 5, Kim Louis Schramm and Dylan Yip. Right, I'm just ejecting my colleague from the commentary box. His work here is done for the day. Distractions are plenty. The car's now on their formation lap. It'll be 2 formation laps to allow them time to get heat into the tyres and into the brakes, ready for the start of this race. Tyre warmers not allowed in GT Masters. And there you can see the point situation. Finn Gersitz and Sven Muller ahead of Janis Victor and Nico Menzel, just 4 points in it. And Tim Zimmerman and Jackson Evans just 7 points adrift of the lead. Calm yourself, madam. So yes, this formation lap, the extra formation lap, tyre warmers not allowed. The air temperature 34.5 degrees. The track temperature is up at 39 degrees, but they still need to weave. They still need to get the tyres into the operating window. They need to have that grip into turn 1, the Grundig turn, when this race gets underway. So now the cars are gridding up. We ride on board and you can see the GRT Grasser Lamborghini out of the side window. Now the safety car will disappear into the distance. The clock has started on account of there being 2 formation laps. Such a short lap, circulating at around 49 seconds. The pole time was a 49.107. So now the cars gridded up side by side. The safety car disappears into the pit lane and we are getting ready to go racing. It is race 4 of a 12 race season. We are back at the Norisring for the ADAC GT Masters and we are go. And we saw the Kim Louis Schramm car just ducking out of line. I think the stewards might have something to say about that because drivers are meant to go through their pit box, but it is Nico Menzel who leads into the first corner. Sven Muller also doing really well, but fighting hard. Into 2nd place though, Jackson Evans getting the jump on Sven Muller. Into the first chicane they come, the rest of the cars streaming through, but that car there, number 10, might be under investigation. Maxi Goetz making great progress, fighting with Marco Mappelli, also through Elias Seppinen. The 2 Mercedes running side by side, so Elias Seppinen also making good progress, but the 1, 2, 3, the 3 Porsches breaking away a little. Maxi Goetz already up into 4th place. Great driving for the Mercedes driver, on board with Marco Mappelli, looking at the back of the traffic.
Maxi Goetz, of course, he's done a few laps around here. Car number 10 is going to have to take a penalty lap for a jump start. So that is Kim Louis Schramm, who you identified because the drivers are supposed to go through their grid boxes and didn't do that. So Kim Louis Schramm is going to have to take a penalty lap, and he takes it.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
Missed it. I think he tried to turn in, but there were cars in the way. You saw him back out of it.
Disadvantage, isn't it?
Yeah, so he drops to the back, and the penalty lap is just going to drop him way back because he's got to pass through this 200-metre box for no more than 50 kilometres an hour.
Absolutely right. Well, I think, in all honesty, that was a slam dunk of a penalty that was always going to happen.
Right, apologies to Ralph Aron, because the black and white Mercedes was not Maxi Goetz, it was Ralph Aron. So Maxi Goetz in the white car, according to our timing screens. We have 2 black and white Mercedes, so it was Ralph Aron who made that great start. He's the one who made good progress. So Maxi Goetz is in 7th place. So Aron in 4th and Maxi Goetz in 7th. So, yeah, apologies to Maxi there, but he will be pushing forward forwards from there, there is no doubt. It's Nico Menzel who leads from Jackson Evans, Sven Muller, Paul Aron, and Elias Seppänen in 5th place.
Make that Ralph Aron, who is running P4. It's been a long day and it's very hot, you know. Kim Lewis-Schramm in to take that penalty lap for FK Performance Motorsport, brought about by him not going through his grid box when the cars were released after their second formation lap. I have to say, one of the innovations from the ADAC is this penalty lap, which I think is a brilliant idea because whilst it has really impacted his race, he can come back from there. If he'd got a drive-through penalty, his race would have been over, Brian.
And Kim Lewis-Schramm's rear view mirror, well, the side mirror of that BMW is very over as well. You can see it flapping around in the breeze, so he has made contact. We saw him trying to turn into the penalty box in that earlier lap. He couldn't make it. He made contact with other cars. He has now done his penalty box visit. A drive-through penalty would have been game over pretty well for him on a track as short as this, but that mirror flapping around, I wonder whether he might get called into the pits to have it removed properly. Now, it was against Ben Green, was it? No. I think it's Maxi Gertz. So we got Maxi in there somehow, didn't we? So he rubs up against the Mercedes, the two cars. No, it wasn't. It was Marco Mappelli.
Yes.
In the number 6 we got there in the end. So collision with the Lamborghini. Now, look here. He ducks out to the left. You look at the blue and black. There we go, the BMW. And that is a slam dunk jump start.
Yeah, do you know what though? You saw the brake lights come on. He was on the loud pedal, and he had to take avoiding action to avoid running into that BMW ahead of him.
Yeah, so that's why was. But the rules are you have to pass through your grid box when you cross the line, and so he is the one who had jumped out of line. Clearly a bit impatient to get going. Look at a replay of that first corner, and Maxi Gertz actually on the outside going a little bit backwards. We can see on board with Gertz there, and he caught up in the traffic. Just staying out of trouble in that opening lap is absolutely critical because you can lose so much. He gets a little bit of a push on the side. He keeps it out of the barrier and actually loses places.
Yes, you're absolutely right. You called that quite correctly. And there you can see that's how just a little bit physical it gets. And I actually wonder whether Gertz was just pushed a little bit by Ralph Aron, you know.
Yeah, well, the two of them are featuring very much in the statement earlier. So Maxi Gertz is very much in the battles there. Now into the corner comes the Ralph Aron car, and you can see he was also getting a little bit down and dirty with it. Marco Mappelli, great angle there, and you can see the BMW of Kim Lewis-Schramm, and that was the moment where it all went south, really, isn't it? So Dylan Yip is currently at the back of the pack in the extra Audi, but he is doing well, just keeping up with the pack. But at the moment, it is Nico Menzel who leads the way from Jackson Evans and Sven Muller. So Nico Menzel. Sorry. No,
it's fine. Press your button, why don't you, with your elbow? Nico Menzel then leading by very nearly a second over Jackson Evans. And then Sven Muller, P3, Ralph Aron is P4. Then it is Seppänen, who is running P5 ahead of Ben Green, Maxi Gertz, Marco Mappelli, Kim Lewis-Schramm, and Yip, who is running P10.
Right, look at Ben Green. He is putting the challenge on to Elias Seppänen. Seppänen in P5. Remember, he's got that 20 kilos of success ballast that he is carrying. Ben Green was thoroughly disappointed with yesterday. 9th place is not what he came here for, and he will be moving forwards. Eduardo Cosatang, his co-driver, is probably, probably he is less experienced in the world of GT3 racing, so Ben will be trying to make as much progress while he can in that BMW, trying to find his way past Elias Seppänen and trying to move forwards before he hands the car over. To remind you, this race is 60 minutes plus 1 lap long. There is a pit window that will open 25 minutes into the race. The window will remain open for 10 minutes. During that 10-minute period, every car will need to visit the pits for a mandatory stop and driver change. That is Sven Muller through into 2nd place. He really just got through on Jackson Evans, made it look very easy. Porsche versus Porsche, but despite carrying a weight penalty, Sven Muller retakes that 2nd place, relegating Jackson Evans. So the Porsches, 1, 2, 3, running together. All of that's allowing Nico Menzel to break free. So it is still very much Porsche, the weapon of choice here at the Norisring at the moment. You can see a big gap from Jackson Evans. He didn't really put up that much of a fight, did he?
To be fair, I don't think Sven Muller even thought that the overtake was on until Jackson Evans left that window open, and he thought, I've got to take advantage of this because it was so clean and tidy. And honestly, in the braking zone, the gap wasn't there. It was because Jackson Evans ran a bit deep, Brian. I'm sure of that. And Sven Muller, well, truthfully, he didn't need a second invitation being posted to him. He was going to go through.
Well, Sven Muller, who is so experienced and especially behind the wheel of a Porsche, now breaks clear of Jackson Evans. Clearly has a pace advantage between his brand stablemate, who is now in third place, closing in on Nico Menzel in the lead. We'll see how quickly he can close in. Last time they crossed the start-finish line, it was just over 1 second, but I have a feeling that might be closing down. Ben Green is closing down on Elias Seppänen. Seppänen, with the 20 kilos, is probably feeling like he's carrying a passenger around in that car. Ben Green in the Schubert Motorsport BMW, continuing to monster the car in front, looking for a way past. It's yesterday's winner under pressure from the 2-time GT Masters winner, Ben Green, the red, white and blue BMW. Very, very rapid now into turn 1 they come. Still nothing happening at the moment. Ben Green trying to pressure Elias Seppänen into a mistake. He's almost pushing him now. There is still a slipstream to be had, so I'm told. He sees the gap on the inside. The inside will soon become the outside. So Elias Seppänen squeezes the BMW, still holds on, and Ben Green, a little bit of a bounce off the fence. That's opened up the door to Maxi Gerz. Maxi Gerz comes through, the two cars rubbing along the stretch they come. Now the heavy braking, and Ben Green, rather than going forwards, he's gone backwards. So Elias Seppänen at the front of those cars, now able to break clear as a result of Maxi Gerz getting involved. Moving forwards, Marco Mappelli just behind as well. He's got his eyes on Ben Green now. Ben Green continues to challenge Maxi Gerz. He looks to the inside, into the corner. That is going to be a long way round the outside. The BMW goes deep into the corner, nothing to do. He switches back onto the inside, but still can't find a route through, and he continues on his way. Elias Seppänen, meanwhile, is able to break free in the number 48 Landgraf Motorsport Mercedes. So Ben Green, rather than moving forwards, has ended up going backwards. He'll be kicking himself in the car, and he'll be looking to make that position back up again. In 7th place is Ben Green at the moment. We're having another look here. You can see Ben Green going to the inside of Elias Seppänen. The two cars running side by side, but then Seppänen has the line into the next corner, gets the squeeze, and that just allows Maxi Gerz to come charging in as well. Gerz really giving it full beans to fill that gap. You can see Ben Green sliding along the wall of death stuff. Marco Mappelli watching on. He's thinking, maybe I can get involved in this battle as well. But he still remains at the back of that queue in 8th place. And that was the moment that Seppänen squeezed through. Maxi Gerz then sees the gap as well, on board with him. Very close, very, very close. Not much between them there. And then under braking into the corner, and Ben Green has to relinquish that position. So a bit of work to do for Ben Green there in 7th place. A bit of work to do for Sven Muller and Nico Menzel, because Muller has closed in. He's taken half a second out of the lead. So Nico Menzel leading the way from Sven Muller. They've left Jackson Evans behind. So it looks like these two cars are the quickest at the moment. Fastest on the track is Sven Muller in 2nd place. A 49.866 was the lap that he set. You can see from your graphic that he has been closing up lap by lap on Nico Menzel in the lead of this race. The number 25 car still looking for its first win of the season. They've had a second, they've had a third, but they've yet to visit the top step of the podium. Nico Menzel along with co-driver Janis Fischer. Sven Muller, though, is such a wise driver. He's such an experienced driver, and he continues to put the heat on. He knows everything there is to know about Porsche, and Sven Muller, he continues to pressure the number 25 car. Jackson Evans just watching that battle in the distance now. Ralph Aron not Paul in 4th place ahead of Elias Seppänen. We'll get that right before the end of the season, I promise. Ahead of Maxi Gerz and Ben Green, Marco Mappelli. Kim Louis Schramm, who's had another black and white flag for not using hazards and causing a collision. So I think Kim Louis Schramm and the steward, well, they're probably not going to be sending each other Christmas cards at the moment. 9th place for Schramm. Dylan Yip, solid. He's 10 seconds back from the lead battle. 22 seconds, I beg your pardon, back from the lead battle in 10th place. But a good solid drive as he learns in his first ever street race in GT3 racing. 46 minutes remaining of this race. This is the lead battle, and what a battle it's shaping up to be. Nico Menzel in the number 25 car, a driver of many years, has a very famous father, Christian Menzel, also as a commentator in GT Masters over the last few years, now deciding to take to the driving seat. He's got Sven Muller tracking his every move, so Nico Menzel has closed, Sven Muller has closed up on Nico Menzel, and now looking to make something of a challenge. Out of the corner they come onto that paving, which is banked by about 1 or 2 degrees, and actually it helps the drivers. If they use it correctly, they can actually get a bit of a run out of that corner, despite the fact it looks bumpy and paved. Using that corner correctly, they can actually get a bit of a launch out of the corner, if that were possible here at the Norisring. This is the lead battle. The gap between them, well, it said 3/10 last time. You can see what the gap is now. It is more or less nothing as they head over the start-finish line. Nico Menzel, Sven Muller, 2 really experienced drivers. 2/10 of a second between first and second. Sven Muller now pushing almost the 25 car around the corner. They run together. Jackson Evans in the background, just keeping an eye on all that's occurring. It's one thing catching, it's another thing getting past and finding a gap big enough to squeeze that Porsche through on these tight confines of the Norisring is going to be a real challenge for Sven Muller, but he is a driver who has spent his life driving Porsches and he knows exactly what to do. Nico Menzel now having to drive with his mirrors. We've still got 45 minutes and a pit stop left in this racing, but one thing is for sure, Sven Muller will want to get past and get as much space in front of himself and the car behind him as soon as possible before he hands it over to his less experienced co-pilot, Finn Gersitz. Nico Muller, the same with Janis Fischer, although Janis Fischer probably fairly experienced as well in comparison to Finn Gersitz. So Nico Muller will, Sven Muller will continue to pressure Nico Menzel. So the first and the second cars are running very much together. You can see how close to the wall they get. There's Jackson Evans as well. 1, 2, 3 is Porsche. 1, 2, 3. Then there's 3 Mercedes behind that. Then it is a BMW being driven by Ben Green. Then the Lamborghini, then a BMW, and then an Audi bringing up the rear of the pack. Nico Menzel in the red, white, and blue Porsche leading the way. He continues. Fastest man on the track is still Sven Muller, but he is in second place and he can't find a route past. And in third place, Jackson Evans now falling a little bit back, 1.4 seconds, 1.8 seconds now from that lead battle. So you can see the gap. We don't need a clock to tell us that Sven Muller is turning the heat up. Desperate to find a route past Nico Menzel. What can he do before the pit window opens and he has to hand the car over to his co-driver? Nico Menzel knows he just keeps it all in the right place, doesn't leave any gaps, and he will continue in that lead position. Still nice and close to the curb, then out wide to the wall they come. That is the turn 4, also known as the Dutzendijk turn, and then out onto the pit straight. Such a short lap, 2 hairpins joined by 2 straights with a chicane in. Almost an oval. It's about as close to NASCAR as you're going to get in the world of GT racing, and it is a wonderful circuit with a big crowd looking. Sven Muller, he had a little look on the inside, didn't he? But Nico Menzel had it covered off. The tyres, well, you've got to look after them. Whatever state the tyres are in now and whatever state they're in when you hand it over to your teammate, they've got to carry that all the way to the end of the race, because tyre changing is not allowed in ADAC GT Masters. So those tyres have got to last. So Nico Menzel not going too wild, potentially looking after the tyres. But now look at Jackson Evans closing in. It was 1.296 behind Sven Muller. So we'll keep an eye on that gap, because it could be that Jackson Evans is starting to close back in on the lead battle. Sven Muller still unable to find that route past. 0.3 of a second is the gap between first and second last time across the line, so very much unchanged. But Sven Muller looking quicker and showing quicker on the timing screens as well. So, third place, Jackson Evans now has taken 0.2 out of the battle in front of him. So he is closing up. Some lovely slow-mos. How close are they getting? I'll tell you what, that close. That's how close they're getting. Not quite any contact. A great view of the splitter, the rear splitter in the Porsche. But Sven Muller positioning it inch perfect as he tries to find a route past. The leader continues to be Nico Menzel, and still Sven Muller just hounding him, just pressuring him. Nico Menzel doing all that he needs to do, and that's just holding it together, not making a mistake, keeping the car in exactly the right place. This is going to be quite hard for Sven Muller. Round the outside into turn one. Nico Menzel just slides across, shuts the door in his face. Jackson Evans inches a little bit closer still, another 10th off. Now Sven Muller getting impatient. He's got to make this stick, because before too long, Jackson Evans is going to get involved as well and could potentially relieve him of second place. So now the three Porsches running nose to tail. Suddenly Sven Muller can no longer attack. He's got to defend. Jackson Evans can see that. He's got nothing to lose. He's got no one behind him. So Nico Menzel allowed to just break free a little now as Sven Muller starts to become a defender. He starts to drive defensively to keep Jackson Evans behind. 1, 2, 3, running together on the track. The first, the second, and the third, with 40 minutes remaining of this race. You can see the gaps between them, but it's closing up with each corner. And now a different line for Sven Muller. It looked like he went deep under braking. Jackson Evans not quite close enough to capitalise on that, and continues very much in that position. But we continue. Saw some damage to the fence there where cars have brushed against it. It has been a packed weekend of racing with the DTM, the prototypes, and numerous other categories as well. But it's the ADAC GT Masters, round 2 of a 6-round season that we see here, back on the streets of the Norisring for the first time in 15 years. This is the view from Jackson Evans. He can see the two cars in front of him. 1, 2, 3. Along the straight they come. Very, very little between them. In the background, Ralph Aron with Elias Seppänen and Maxi Goertz very much staying as they were. Ben Green still in that 7th place. And then out they come once again. Out along to the straight, still as you were. But this surely is not going to last for long. We are about 4.5 minutes from the pit window opening. When that opens, it'll be over for 10 minutes. Drivers will be required at some point in that 10 minutes to come in for a mandatory stop and a driver change. Now, it might be that strategy will come into play here. I can't believe that Team Use will want to bring Sven Muller in earlier, because they'll want to maximise the time he's out on track. But Nico Menzel, if he stays out as well, they may decide to bring Muller in early. Jackson Evans, they may well bring him in early and get Tim Zimmerman in the seat and try and get him out on some open track, put in some fast laps and see if they can do an undercut on the two cars in front of them. The order hasn't changed, but it's like a very, very intense game of chess at the moment. The 1, 2, 3 staying very much the same, but one mistake, one blink of the eye, and it could all change. I think it's Jackson Evans very much in the strongest position at the moment, in that he can make the challenge, but he's got to, if he doesn't make it stick, he's not going to lose any things. But Nico Menzel still driving defensively. Sven Muller still holding on to that 2nd place. Running nose to tail, the 1, 2, 3. 3 Porsches, followed by 3 AMG Mercedes. Ralph Aron, Elias Seppänen, and Maxi Goertz in the positions 4, 5, and 6. Again, the view from Jackson Evans. Jackson Evans pressuring Sven Muller even more. Now Sven Muller can feel the pressure from behind. He starts to turn the heat up even more. Nico Menzel, he wants to pressure him into a mistake. Nico Menzel is not famous for making mistakes. And Sven Muller still remains in that 2nd place. You can just feel the tension rising here with these 3 cars running nose to tail. The 1, 2, 3. Nico Menzel leading the way. Sven Muller, Jackson Evans. Now 2 3/4 minutes till the pit window opens. This is when things could change. Will Jackson Evans be able to make a route past either or both of these 2 cars before the pit window opens, or will he now just hold station until he can get it in the hands of Tim Zimmerman? Along the pit straight they come once more. Sven Muller having a little look, not really close enough to do anything. Now into the little kink that leads into turn 1. It's a very, very short turn to the right, then a big turn to the left. The hairpin corner, around they come, turn 1 now. It's down towards the Scholar S, which will be heavy braking. a quick left, and then a quick right, and then back onto the flat-out section up towards turn 4, which is the Dutzendijk turn, the final turn of this 4-turn course. A very, very short circuit here for the ADAC GT Masters. Look at Sven Muller, really close now. He hasn't been any closer in this race as far as I can tell, but still he can't find that route past out towards the start-finish line. They come once again. First and second glued together. Jackson Evans has dropped back just a little bit. This might be the opportunity for Sven Muller to do something a bit more audacious because he's got the room. He looks to the outside, under braking. Will he go the long way around? He tries so hard. Nico Menzel squeezes him. He tries to come back to the inside. Nothing going on there. Slots back into line. 1, 2, 3 running together. Now Sven Muller looks to one side, cuts back to the other. Still, no opportunities to get through. Jackson Evans can sniff a chance to relieve Sven Muller of that second place. They run still nose to tail, picking up the slipstream from the leading car out towards the Dutzendijk turn. Once again, Muller to the inside. Nico Menzel shuts the door again. Muller, though, doesn't back out of it. Neither does Jackson Evans. Still, the view on board with Jackson Evans in the Christoph Huber's Racing Porsche. He sees Sven Muller up ahead of him. These cars are all very much identical, the 1, 2, 3 in this race. Mesmerising stuff. One lapse of concentration, one mistake from any of these drivers, and it could be all changed. Nico Menzel still leading the way. Remember that Menzel is carrying an extra 10 kilos of weight as a result of the success penalty, and 5 kilos is in the hands of Sven Muller. So extra ballast being carried by those Porsches. The Jackson Evans car has no such ballast, so that would explain why they are able to keep up with the lead battle. Right, we are getting ready. 8 seconds from the pit window opening. Make that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see who is going to blink first, who's going to stay out, who is going to come into the pits. I'd say that Jackson Evans may be one of the contenders to come in, because he will want to try and get the undercut on the cars in front. But Sven Muller tries to go round the outside. It doesn't work. We saw that one coming. Now Jackson Evans jumps into the gap that has been created. It is a drag race, and somehow Sven Muller retakes that position. It looked like it was going to be handed on a plate to Jackson Evans, but Jackson Evans drops back into the 3rd place. This is amazing stuff from these 3 drivers. Let's have another look at that. You can see Sven Muller trying to come around the outside. He was far enough to try and stop Nico Menzel from shutting the door, but he goes deep into the corner. Menzel slides across, and meanwhile, Jackson Evans says, I'll have some of that. Thank you very much. A big gap on the inside, but then it is literally a drag race, and it is Sven Muller who somehow works his way in front. This was the view from Jackson Evans. He could see the big gap, and then he saw that brightly coloured Team Used Porsche coming back on his outside. And still very much as you were. Positions remaining unchanged for the time being. Keep an eye, it's Dylan Yip who's into the pits for his mandatory stop and driver change. He'll be handing over to Kwanda Mokoena. It has been a baptism of fire for the 2 drivers with Team Engstler, but they will have learned so much from being at the Norisring this weekend. And there is the Team Engstler, Liqui Moly Team Engstler Audi in the pits. There is a minimum pit stop time of 65 seconds from pit entry to pit exit. Any driver that goes below that will pick up a penalty. You can see the clock ticking down. Jackson Evans into the pit as well, right, reaching the line, and look at that for timing. Well, a little bit over. Kwanda Mokoeno losing about a second, but that's pretty tight. So Jackson Evans, we thought he might come in early. This is strategy from the team. Of course, no tyre changes allowed. Only 2 mechanics allowed to work on the car. The outgoing driver jumps out of the seat, then helps the incoming driver. One Mr. Tim Zimmerman into the seat. Jackson Evans now hoping him to get buckled up and plugging him in, wishes him good luck, puts the screen across, the net across, shuts the door, and then walks away, and then it's that wait for the clock to tick down to try and hit the pit exit line as the clock strikes 65. Marco Mapelli is in as well, handing over to Benjamin Heites, looking to improve on their 5th place from yesterday. Good solid drive now. The 92 car is up and running. Tim Zimmerman out to the line he comes. He can't back off for excessive period 2. He wants to hit the line when it hits 0. 0.3 of a second. That was a really tight pit stop from the Huber team. So Huber Racing, run by Christoph Huber, not to be confused with the other Huber team, which is Huber Motorsport, which is leading this race at the moment. But great stuff there by the team, and that would have helped no end. It puts the pressure on Team Use, because anything over the time that was earned there could see them drop back a position. So now Sven Muller still handing Nico Menzel without Jackson Evans as was, and now Tim Zimmerman behind. So the pressure is not on from behind, allows to put the heat on. And you just get the feeling that Sven Muller wants to get past that car before they come into the pits and give Finn Gersitz the best opportunity of an open track in front of him. But Nico Menzel still has not put a wheel wrong in this race. Looking again as he challenged on the outside. Again, Menzel just allows himself to take the racing line out to the wall, and Sven Muller is unable to capitalise on that. We're reaching the halfway point of the race. It's very much as you were, but what an enthralling race it has been. Nico Menzel leading the way. Sven Muller, I don't know if he was pushing him there. It was very, very close, but it was a very, very tight racing between these two Porsches. In the background, you can see Ralph Aron and Elias Seppänen still yet to pit. So we got Tim Zimmerman, who's taken over from Jackson Evans. We got Marco Mapelli, who was handed over to Benjamin Heites. So that is Heites in the number 63 car. And Kwanda Mokoena, who has taken over from Dylan Yip in the Exler Audi. The leading cars remain the same. Kim Louis Schramm, after an eventful start to his race, hands his car over to Igor Velilko. You can see that he's in the pits at the moment as well. But these two cars that lead the way, they've got 5 minutes, and they will probably want to stay out as late as possible in the pit window before coming in. And it could be all down to the pit stops that this is one unlost. And I say they're going to stay out late, but it is Nico Menzel who dives into the pits. Now, this is really going to help Sven Muller, because that car has been the quickest car on the track so far in this race. He will be putting in qualifying laps for the next 4.5 minutes before he hands the car over to Finn Gersitz. Nico Muller, well, hats off to him. He's done an amazing job at the front. He will hand over to Janis Fitcher. Here comes Janis. He has to wait until the car is stopped before he's allowed to cross the white line to get out into the pit lane. As with the previous stops, it's one driver out, the next driver in, get them plugged in. This needs to be absolutely perfect when they get to the line. We are riding on board with Tim Zimmerman. We're going to see where Tim Zimmerman is when he comes out of the pit. So the 92 car is currently a little way back on the track out into turn 2 at the moment. And the Janis Fitcher's car still in the pits. I'm just looking at Tim Zimmerman up towards turn 4 in a few moments, but Fitcher is moving. It looks to me as though he is going to be well out of the pits before the 92 car arrives. You can see it there on the top of your picture coming through. Well, it is going to be tight. He crosses the line, 0.8 of a second, so it's nice and tight. Now up to speed. Can he hold him off? He's in front at the moment, but he's got to get the car back up to speed with Tim Zimmerman. He sees the car in front of him, and Janis Fitcher. Fitcher trying to make it wide. This is the opportunity for Tim Zimmerman to make the move while Janis Fitcher is getting dialed up and back up to speed. On board with Tim Zimmerman. He looks to the side of the car. Has Janis Fitcher done enough to hold on to this lead, having taken over Nico Menzel? It looks like he probably has. It's very much as you were, although it's now Tim Zimmerman into that position behind. Still, Sven Muller is out there. There is Nico Menzel. Job done. That was a very, very tense pit stop. You can see why they time it so tightly with a minimum pit stop time, because those fractions of a second can make all the difference. And perhaps just a teeny bit more from the Huber Racing team and they could have got past, but it is so risky running it so close to the 0 on the pit exit. Wow, so Janis Fitcher still ahead of Tim Zimmermann. Our race leader at the moment is still Sven Muller. He has got 2.5 minutes before he can come back into, well, before he has to come into the pits. That's when the pit window closes. Having another replay there. How close was it for Tim Zimmermann and Janis Fischer? They're currently in 6th and 7th. And Nico Menzel, he's like, yes, my hard work, and this is paying off. Really tight stuff. Great teamwork there. ADAC GT Masters, very much a team sport. Now Sven Muller still staying out. I reckon, personally, I think he's going to stay out till the absolute last minute in the pit window. It is a 49-second lap, so he's still got 1 minute and 50 seconds. There is Finn Gersitz in only his 4th ever GT Masters race. He's already a winner. He's had a 3rd place and a 5th place. And he will be taking the seat of the number 91 team used by Race Motion Porsche. Still, he stays out, I reckon. Certainly another lap after this, and potentially one after that. Behind them, Ralph Aron has Elias Seppänen and Maxi Goertz. So Maxi Goertz, who is in 4th place at the moment, he has yet to pit and make a stop. You can see Ben Green has now come into the pits as well, and he is handing the BMW over to Eduardo Cosseteng. 5th place at the moment, and we'll see where he emerges after that pit stop. We continue to focus on this battle, the cars that have yet to pit. It is Sven Muller in 1st, still to pit. Ralph Aron still to pit. Elias Seppänen still to pit, and Maxi Goertz, the last of the non-pitters. Now, with less than 1 minute remaining of the pit window, is Sven Muller going to stretch it out for one more? He can't do that, can he? So he's going to have to come in now because there just isn't enough time. So into the pits comes Sven Muller. He hits the speed limiter button. This is going to be critical. We're going to have one eye on Janis Fischer, the number 25 car, currently heading out towards turn 4 at the moment. Of course, a lap down because of the pit stop. So Janis Fischer is going to be putting in a qualifying lap here if he can, to try and stay in the lead. Here comes Finn Gersitz. On your marks, get set, go. Haul the other car out, the other driver out of the car into the seat they get, helping to get buckled up and plugged in. And there is the view of Tim Zimmermann as he comes around the circuit. Now, where is Tim Zimmermann? He is looking at the back of the 25 car of Janis Fischer. And Finn Gersitz now in the seat. Sven Muller walking away pretty casual. I'm looking at Zimmermann and I'm looking at Fischer. They're heading up towards turn 4 at the moment. Under braking for turn 4. These are the cars that are going to be directly against Finn Gersitz. Gersitz is on the move. Could it be that he's going to get out in front of the cars? He's in the pit lane now. Out he comes, and he's done it. Finn Gersitz in front of the number 25 car and the number 92 car. The rest of the runners have also pitted as well, but it's looking like advantage to team use. Those hot laps by Sven Muller has allowed Finn Gersitz to make the jump into what will be the lead, and is now confirmed the lead. Janis Fischer into 2nd. Tim Zimmermann, the 92 car, still in 3rd place. Great stuff there. Teamwork, and the bright yellow Porsche now leading the way. Finn Gersitz has got a very long 24 minutes remaining in this race now, because he has got to stay ahead of Janis Fischer, a driver who has more experience than him, as indeed is the case with Tim Zimmermann. Of the 3 cars in the lead, I have to say Zimmermann looks like the quickest. The number 91 car is still the car that holds the fastest lap of the race so far. In the background is the Alain Valente car, who has taken over from Ralph Aron, and then there is Salman Vega, who's taken over from Elias Seppänen. You can see the lap evolution there, Janis Fischer and Tim Zimmermann. So Fischer and Zimmermann closing up. Well, it's Zimmermann who's closing in on Fischer. And once again, the issue of 2nd place having to defend, that allows the leader to break clear. But this time, it's the 25 car that's having to defend from 3rd place. And this time, it's the 91 car who's got the jump through the pit stop sequence. Brilliant stuff, brilliant team racing. Alain Valente in the background in 4th place, not out of the running here either. He's only 1.7 seconds back from Tim Zimmerman. Salman Vega 2.2 seconds back from him, having taken over from Elias Seppänen. And Petra Umbra-Rescue in 6th place. He's taken over from Maxi Gertz. Oh, it's been great to have Maxi here. He now hands the driving duties over to Umbra-Rescue in that 6th place, ahead of Benjamin Heites, Eduardo Cosseteng, who took over from Ben Green, Igor Valilko, and then Kwanda Mokoena in 10th place. This is the close battle, though. It is 2nd place. It is Janis Fitcher, and it is Tim Zimmerman using all of his skill to try and find a route past the number 25 car. To remind you, 2nd place is the best they have scored this season so far, and that was yesterday in race 1 of this weekend. Sven Muller and Finn Gersitz, they already have a win under their belt. That was at race 2 at Hockenheim the last time out. These cars will be racing again next weekend. We haven't got long to wait before we get to round 3. We're at the Nürburgring, not to be mistaken with this place in Nuremberg. Has been confused many times. Norris, an old 17th century name for the city, named in the hope it would avoid confusion with Nürburgring, but we still get visitors coming here expecting to find the Nordschleife nestling in the tribunes, and highly disappointed. So a couple of 100 kilometers in a different direction is the Nürburgring, and that's where we're going to be next weekend, where we will see these cars competing further. And as already mentioned, a number of new drivers and cars and returning drivers and cars are booked in for this event. So that'll be something that will be very exciting indeed. Now, coming up towards Kwanda Mokoena in 10th place, looking to put a lap on him. Finn Gersitz still leading the way. Janis Fitcher, 1.3 seconds is the gap. Tim Zimmerman, 0.6 of a second behind. But keep an eye on Alan Valente. He has been closing in bit by bit. Now, looking at the gap, it was 1.2 seconds. So keep an eye on that while we're looking at this lead battle. But Finn Gersitz, such a mature drive. Remember, his first street circuit, his first time in GT3 was at the previous round at the Hockenheim Ring. And here he is leading the way once again, looking for his 2nd win of the season, along with Sven Muller, his mentor and friend. Alain Valente, so 1.295 seconds last time across the line. Looks to me like he is closing in. Well, what do I know? 1.5 seconds now. So Zimmerman has responded and opened up the gap slightly. Behind is Salman Ovega, yesterday's winner, along with Elias Seppänen. I think they've managed to fix that driver's door that meant that Elias Seppänen had to practically climb out the window to get out of the car in Parc Fermé. Fortunately, it didn't do that in the pit stops, although I am told they did have problems with that door during the pit stops, but it wasn't enough to hinder them, and they were able to go on and win the race. There's the 1, 2, 3. They have been running glued together for the entire duration of this race. We've still got 19.5 minutes plus 1 lap to run in this, and it's still Finn Gersitz who leads the way. Janis Fitcher. Let's ride on board with Tim Zimmerman. And you can hear the noise of the car from on board with Tim Zimmerman. So the age-old problem for Janis Fitcher. If he can close on the leader, if he can make a challenge, he's going to struggle to get past, because if he doesn't make it stick, then 3rd place comes sailing through and just fills the gap that is opened up by the car in front. Look how close to the wall they get, and it's Tim Zimmerman who uses all of the track, going as close to the wall as they dare. We've seen many a wing mirror departing the car over this weekend as the drivers just try to extract every last 10th out of their lap time. There's the gap evolution. So Tim Zimmerman has closed back in on 2nd place. It might be he was backing out of it just to save his tyres, just to cool them down a bit. Just maybe regathering himself, allowing the brakes to cool down. Alain Valente, 1.7 seconds behind. So that progress he had made in 4th place looks to have stopped. Salman Vega, 1.1 seconds behind Alain Valente. And then behind Salman Vega, Petru Umbra Rescue. he's some 5.8 seconds back, so he is a long way back from this fight. So still plenty more to come here in race 4 of this 12-race season for the ADAC GT Masters. There's the back-marking Kwanda Mokoena, about to go a lap down to Finn Gersitz. And the young driver still picking up experience, event by event, and getting faster and faster. And what a place to pick up experience. You really can't afford to make mistakes here, because I have to tell you, those concrete barriers do not move. And it's always barrier 1, car nil if they make contact. Now, 63, Benjamin Heites with Petra Umberescu ahead of him. And that is for 6th place. Petra Umberescu, who took over from Maxi Goertz, a driver who doesn't have as much experience as Benjamin Heites, and will have his work cut out to defend from the GRT Grasser Racing Lamborghini, the number 63 car. This is the view from Benjamin Heites. Still, full tilt along the straight they come to complete another lap. 49 laps in the book for these cars. And Umberescu into the corner. How long can he hold off the mighty Lamborghini Huracan? Now, out of turn 1, out towards the Skoda S. Meanwhile, it's Janis Fitcher who leads the way. So while that was going on, Janis Fitcher has jumped in front of Finn Gersitz while we were looking at the battle further back. Somehow, Finn Gersitz has lost out to Janis Fitcher. Now, was that a mistake? Was there an issue? Or did Janis Fitcher just muscle his way past? So once again, the number 25 car is back out in front of the race. And now Finn Gersitz coming under pressure from Tim Zimmerman. So all change at the front of the race. It is Janis Fitcher who leads the way. Finn Gersitz in second. Let's have another look here. Let's see what happened. And Finn Gersitz, he just got it all wrong. Under braking, left a massive gap on the inside. I should think both his and Sven Muller's hearts would have been sinking. This is what it looks like on board with Tim Zimmerman. You can see under braking, Finn Gersitz getting it all wrong and very nearly losing a position to Zimmerman as well. So just a case of experience. Sven Muller will look on and see that his young protege did all that he could, but remember, his first time on a street circuit is only his second event in GT3. It has been a steep learning curve, and he just misses his braking point, goes deep into the corner, and the lead changes hands once again. So Janis Fitcher, along with Nico Menzel, leading this race ahead of Finn Gersitz, having been in the lead. He took over from Sven Muller, as now down in second place ahead of Tim Zimmerman, who took over from Jackson Evans in third place. Then this battle here, Alain Valente and Salman Ovega, Mercedes versus Mercedes. And they are closing in on the battle in front, albeit by little fractions. It is now a defensive game for Alain Valente. Salman Ovega, along with Elias Sepinen, who won yesterday, very much buzzing last night after that win. It was a win that was a long time coming, and they came so close at the opening round at Hockenheimring, but for mechanical failures and the like. And a good points haul, certainly a possibility here, but there are still 14 minutes to go. Plenty of opportunities to outbrake yourself, to hit the fence, or any other problem like that. At the moment, Janis Fitcher just needs to keep his nose clean. He's still following Kwanda Mokoena, the 10th place driver, up ahead of him, and not really closing in on him to make a pass. But now making a pass, Salman Ovega around the outside of Alain Valente. It is a side-by-side battle. Remember, Ovega is carrying a weight penalty as well as a result of that win yesterday under braking. But Ovega, despite the extra 20 kilos, has the line now. He's going to have to go the long way around. The two cars bounce off each other. Valente comes back, retains that position. But Salman Ovega, for a moment, our timing screen showed him in 4th place, and now he's back down into 5th. A very brave move, a very talented move. Did they make contact? Actually, I don't think they did. It was very, very close. Great driving from Alan Valente and Salmon Vega. It's as you were, but a really good move from Salmon Vega. That just proves that he and Elias Seppänen will be championship contenders all season long, because that was such a mature attempt at position. There's Janis Fitcher. He's broken clear of Finn Gesitz by about 9/10 of a second, and they are ahead of Tim Zimmermann, who's very much still in contention here. Then a gap back to Alan Valente. This is the view from Tim Zimmermann as he stares at Finn Gesitz up ahead. You hear the engine and the transmission whining around this really short circuit at the Norisring. Under braking once again, 54 laps in the book for Janis Fitcher, leading the way in the number 25 car. He took over Nico Menzel. He lost the lead as a result of some really slick pit work and some great drive from Sven Muller in the team in use by Race Motion Porsche. It was Finn Gesitz who took over, a slight mistake into the corner, meaning he surrendered the lead. Right, let's have another look at Alan Valente and Vega. You could get a bit closer than that, couldn't you? The Mercedes drifting out of the corner. Does he make contact? Well, the mirror survived. I don't think he actually made contact. It was blooming close, though, wasn't it? The gold and white Mercedes still following in the wheel tracks of Alan Valente. The battle for 4th place and the battle for the podium. There it is, 1, 2, 3. And Quantum Mocoeno still lapping very well. 50.191 is his best lap. So he is holding off the leaders, but now very wisely just gets out of the way, allows them past. He doesn't want to get involved in the lead battle. He doesn't want to interfere with it. He wants to carry on around. He wants to get to the end of the race, pick up the experience and pick up the points. And that's exactly what he will do if he carries on as things are. Janis Fitcher, first one past him, then Finn Gesitz and Tim Zimmermann, through they come. And now some great opportunity for Quantum Mocoeno to trail Tim Zimmermann, follow his racing line, pick up some tips maybe, and always learning, always improving. We're heading into the last 10 minutes of this race. And still, Janis Fitcher leading the way. 1.172 last time across the line, and now it is 1.489, so about 3/10 of a second or thereabouts. And then Tim Zimmermann, Alan Valente, 1, 2, 3, 4. And Valente with Salmon Vega for company. Salmon's brother Yusuf, who has been racing in DTM this afternoon and indeed this weekend, also has a brother Hamza Vega, who's pretty useful behind the steering wheel as well. So the Vega family, well, they have it in the blood, don't they? Salmon Vega, the youngest of the 3 brothers, but very much seen as one of the real talents in GT racing at the moment, up and coming. And the combination with him and Elias Seppänen, the 2 drivers, similar sort of age, similar sort of ambition, have really complemented each other. The 2 of them together, they've really clicked. I spoke to them at Hockenheim, and they just said they're really working well together. They know each other, they understand each other, they're friends, and that good relationship translates on the track. And it's the partnership and the teamwork that allows them to work together to score those points. And had it not been for a mechanical failure in the first race at Hockenheim, they would potentially have been at the top of the points. I mean, they're pretty close already, currently in 4th in the points standings. At the moment, Salmon Vega still hasn't found a route past Alan Valente, but he's given it a good try, isn't he? And 4th place is still very much a possibility for the gold, white and black Mercedes. But it's the black and white one in front of him, Alan Valente for Team HRT, the only team that have got 2 drivers in this race at the moment. I think some of the other teams might be bringing a second car as the season progresses, but at the moment HRT, along with Petra Umber Rescue, those are the 2 HRT teams in the race. Now Vega practically pushing the Valente car around the corner. And Vega, you wouldn't believe he's carrying that extra 20 kilos, would you? Really, really quick stuff indeed. The lights are on, the lights are flashing, Not sure it actually does anything, but aiming to distract, aiming for a mistake. And look at Valente brushing the wall out of the corner. Still, things remain as they were. Still, just a little under 8 minutes remaining. Vega looks to the outside, nothing going on there. Out of the corner he comes. Is he going to have a look to the inside? Not really close enough now. There is a slipstream to be had, so I'm told. Along the pit straight they come, absolutely flat out now towards turn 1, the Grundig turn. A little kink to the right, and then it's the hard braking, it's the hairpin, full lock to the left. A position where many drivers challenge. Up against the wall, out they come. Valente still holding on to that position. Still taking that racing line, keeping his car exactly where it needs to be. And still Vega staring at the back of the Mercedes. So Alan Valente, who took over from Ralph Aron. Ralph, who has come back to GT3 racing after a period away, and has proven to be very useful indeed. And he, along with Alan Valente, looking to match their best result of the season, 4th place, which was yesterday. In the background, Benjamin Heites running on his own in the Lamborghini. But this is the closest battle on the track at the moment. We've got one eye on the lead battle as well, just in case that changes again. But it is still Janis Fitcher. But this is the fight that is keeping us occupied with a little under 6 minutes remaining, little over 6 minutes remaining. There is the 1, 2, 3, then the back marking Mokoena, then 4 and 5. So you can see how close they are to each other on the track. Nobody is disappearing off into the distance. But Alan Valente still holding off Salman Vega. What has Vega got up his sleeve? What can he bring to the table with 6 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race? What can he do to find a route past the Mercedes that is in front of him? He's trying to think of everything that he can. Next up, it is Benjamin Heites, and then Petra Umbrerescu in the white Mercedes, having taken over from Maxi Gertz. Igor Valilko, he took over from Kim Louis Schramm. And then Eduardo Cossetang in 9th place. He took over from Ben Green. You can see some 25 seconds back from the lead battle, so that equates to about half a lap. Now the fight comes. Salman Vega alongside Alan Valente. This time he has the line into the corner, but under braking he's going to have to go the long way around the outside. Will he switch back to the inside? He does that, but still Alan Valente holds on. Great driving from Alan Valente, doing all that he can to keep the fellow Mercedes driver behind him. So it is as you were, but great move of Vega again. You get the feeling he's getting impatient again. He takes a little look now to the inside. Valente outbrakes himself. This time it's Vega. Vega is through and into 4th place. He's been trying to get that one done and dusted for about 20 minutes, and now he's finally done it. Salman Vega through into that 4th position. A really good, clean move. Alan Valente going defensive, missing his braking point, leaving a gap on the inside, and Valente relinquishes the position. It is Vega through into 4th place with less than 4.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race. We have another look at that. Here they come into the corner, and you can see it was a really clean move from Vega, and he'll be delighted with that. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything about Tim Zimmerman up ahead of him, because that is about 4.5 seconds, the gap between them. But 4th place would be a result to go with their win from yesterday if he can bring it home in that position. Janis Fitcher continues to lead, 1.349 from Finn Gersitz, who in turn is 1.1 ahead of Tim Zimmerman. I should think Finn Gersitz will be frustrated with the mistake that saw him surrender the lead, because he did have a fairly decent gap at the front, but for that mistake into the corner that saw him go deep and allow the number 25 car through. 3.5 minutes remaining of this race. And the 1, 2, 3 Porsches at the moment. The Porsche has been very much the car to beat in ADAC GT Masters this year so far. It's a Porsche that won both races at Hockenheim. And apart from Seppänen and Vega winning in the Mercedes yesterday, is looking like it could be a 1-2-3 again for the Porsche. You saw the mirror cracked on the Benjamin Heighties GRT Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini. Unlucky, well, clearly not for him, because he's making good progress in 6th place. He has brushed the wall more than a few times this weekend. Now we get a great perspective of him. We're looking again at the camera. We're going to see that bit of mirror go flying. There it goes. It was clearly the contact with the wall getting the job finished. So there we go, another little knock just to be sure. And that's how close to the wall they get here in the ADAC GT Masters here at the Norisring. And yes, the spare parts department, the mirror department at Lamborghini doing good business this weekend. Every time we've seen that camera angle, the mirror's been brushing the wall. There is your first and second. They've broken clear of Tim Zimmerman, about 1.5 seconds between second and third. So I'm wondering whether Finn Gersitz is going to try and mount one final assault on Janis Fincher. It looks like he's closed in on him, but he's only got 2 minutes plus 1 lap, and that 1 lap is going to be very short because it is just a 49 or 50 second lap for these cars. But he's going to try, isn't he? Put the pressure on, force him into a mistake, see if he can get that win, that lead back and become the first repeat winner of the year. But at the moment, Janis Fincher appears to have it very much together. Janis Fincher, having taken over from Nico Menzel in the red, white and blue car. He has never won in ADAC GT Masters, and neither has Nico Menzel. So it would be a debut win for this driver pairing if they can carry on for the next 1.25 minutes plus 1 lap in the position they're in and take their debut win. The best result for Janis Fincher up until now was a 2nd place at the Nürburgring back in 2020. So this would be a long time coming and something that would be most welcome for Janis Fincher. He's been in GT Masters for a few years. 2020 was his debut year. We saw him originally in ADAC Formula 4 Germany, and he came through the ranks, then making the transition to GT racing from the Formula 4 series. Now, Finn Gersitz, one last assault. We're into the final minute of timed racing. So the cars are up on turn 2 and turn towards turn 3 at the moment, then heading up towards turn 4. Once the clock strikes 0, the drivers will have 1 more lap that they will need to complete. And Janis Fincher, he's held on, having taken over after that mistake from Finn Gersitz, and he's held on to that lead. Across the line they come once again, so the clock hasn't struck 0 yet. So it looks like we're going to have a couple more laps of this race, a couple more laps for Finn Gersitz to do something about Janis Fincher up ahead of him. The clock strikes 0, so it'll be the rest of this lap, and then 1 more after that before we see the checkered flag. Tim Zimmerman in the background, ready to pick up the pieces if anything goes wrong. Salman Vega having found that route past Alan Valente in 5th place. But our eyes very much on this battle for the lead. Out towards turn 4 for the penultimate time they come. It's car 25 leading the way. It is Finn Gersitz, really close. He wants to return the compliment and pressure a mistake. He's got his work cut out for that, though, hasn't he? Out onto the pit straight they come. 1 more lap to go here in race 4 of the season for the ADAC GT Masters. Out towards the Grundig turn for the last time this weekend. Nico Menzel looking philosophical and probably not really wanting to look at the monitors. All of his hard work in the hands of Janis Fincher. Finn Gersitz now tracking in that 2nd place, having taken over from Sven Muller. Out towards turns 2 and 3, the Scholar S for the final time, and now a squirt of the throttle up towards turn 4, the Duitsendijk turn. It'll be the heavy braking in towards turn 4 they come, and then back out onto the pit straight. It's gonna be Janis Fincher who sees the checkered flag ahead of him. It's Janis Fincher and Nico Menzel who take their debut win in the ADAC GT Masters. Finn Gersitz and Sven Muller doing really well for a 2nd place, and it's Tim Zimmerman and Jackson Evans who cross the line in 3rd place. A great job from Salman Vega and Elias Sepinen, who crossed the line in 4th ahead of Alain Valente in the number 2 car, along with Ralph Aron, his co-driver, Benjamin Haites and Marco Mapelli in 6th place ahead of Petra Umbrescu and Maxi Gertz in 2nd. In 7th, we get that one right. In 8th place, Igor Valilko, along with Kim Louis Schramm. In 9th place, Eduardo Cosseteng and Ben Green. And then in 10th place, Dylan Yip and Kwanda Mokoena. A great job from Yanis Fitcher. First-time winners in the ADAC GT Masters, along with co-driver Nico Menzel. So the cars on their slow down lap, and it was really about keeping it together, not making any mistakes. At no point was anybody running away with it. Half a second was the gap between first and second at the end. Yanis Fitcher and Nico Menzel winning ahead of Finn Gersitz and Sven Muller. Tim Zimmermann and Jackson Evans rounding out the top 3 ahead of Salman Vega, Elias Sepinen, Alain Valente, Ralph Aron, Benjamin Haites and Marco Mapelli, Petra Umbrescu and Maxi Gertz in 7th ahead of Igor Valilko, Kim Louis Schramm, Eduardo Cosseteng and Ben Green for Schubert Motorsport ahead of Kwanda Mokoena and Dylan Yip, rounding out the top 10 in race 4 of the season for the ADAC GT Masters. So into Parc Fermé we come, coming to a stop. Porsche once again very much in control of the ADAC GT Masters, and the balance of performance, which levels these cars up, always a topic of discussion. It may well be that things will be adjusted for the next round. One thing will be for sure is that Yanis Fitcher and Nico Menzel will have 20 kilos of ballast to carry around with them at Nürburgring next weekend. Like Sven Muller and Finn Gersitz, well, we say good job to them. There's the point standings. So Yanis Fitcher and Nico Menzel to the top of the point standings by just 1 point from Finn Gersitz and Sven Muller. They move to the top ahead of Tim Zimmermann and Jackson Evans. And really hot work. Temperatures in the mid-30s here in Nuremberg. And the drivers with 60 degrees temperature in the car. That's how hot it is in there. And the water very welcome indeed after an hour of concentration and flat-out racing. Here comes Sven Muller. Great sportsmanship. Congratulating the race winners. Here's a slow-mo of our 3rd place car for Christoph Huber's team, Tim Zimmermann and Jackson Evans in the Porsche 911 GT3R. Second place, that's another Porsche, this time team used by Race Motion with Finn Gersitz and Sven Muller at the wheel. But it's a debut win for Reinhard Huber's team. Another Porsche 911 GT3R, and it's a debut win for Nico Menzel and Yanis Fitcher to the top step of the podium. Another replay of the cars crossing the finish line and receiving the checkered flag. A race very much about keeping it together and not allowing the pressure to get to you. And there, the celebrations between Nico Menzel and Yanis Fitcher taking that debut win. And the 3 Porsches in Parc Fermé. As we've already mentioned several times before, there will be more cars at the Nürburgring. So these drivers need to pick up the points while they can, while the field is fairly small, because this field is going to grow. The championship is going to get bigger. Tim Zimmermann and Jackson Evans are introduced onto the podium by Toby Shimon, the announcer.
Platz 2 für Josma Race Motion, Sven Müller und Finn Gersitz.
Finn Gersitz and Sven Müller introduced on to the second step of the podium.
Und wir kommen zu unseren Siegern von Huber Motorsport, Nico Menzel und Janis Fitcher.
But the winners, taking the headlines, Nico Menzel and Janis Fitcher taking their debut win in the ADAC GT Masters here at the Norisring. And Reinhard Huber going to join us on the podium as well for the winning team. And now it's the national anthem. So, the national anthem done. And the wonderful trophies. Carsten Lichtlein, the national handball goalkeeper, presenting the trophies to our race winners. Who have we got to present the trophies for second place? Finn Gersitz, that was Dr. Dieter Nischal, the board member of the ADAC, and he presents the second place trophies. And third place presented by the same person who presented the winning trophies. And there'll be a trophy for Reinhard Huber and his team. So a quick pause for photographs, and then the celebrations will commence. 6 drivers on the podium, plus a team manager, to conclude what has been a fantastic return to the Norisring for the ADAC GT Masters. It's taken 15 years to get back here, but we are so pleased to be back, and we are very optimistic of being back again next year for the ADAC GT Masters at the Norisring. But our attention turns to less than a week. Next weekend, we're at the Nürburgring for round 3, races 5 and 6 of the season. Then there is the summer break through to September, where we will head to the Sachsenring for races 7 and 8. Then to Austria, the Red Bull Ring for round 5, races 9 and 10, for it all comes to a halt back in Germany in October for Hockenheim. We return there for races 11 and 12 of the season. Let's take another look at the point standings. It couldn't be closer as we head towards Nürburgring next weekend. Just 1 point in it. Janis Fitcher, Nico Menzel from Finn Gersitz and Sven Müller. Tim Zimmerman and Jackson Evans just behind them as well. Lots and lots still to play for as the rest of the points come scrolling through. The ADAC GT Masters Championship is well and truly up and running, and this is pure excitement from these GT3 monsters. We will see you at the Nürburgring next weekend. We'll see you there. Bye-bye. 2023 season of ADAC GT Masters.